You think you can handle the lightning? Commander Marcus Reed Donovan laughed as he looked at Lieutenant Clara Jensen Hayes standing at attention in his office. This isn't a training simulator, pilot. This is a $20 million A-10 Warthog. The other pilots smirked, but none of them knew that in exactly 23 minutes, enemy aircraft would breach American airspace. And she would be the only one qualified to stop them. Lieutenant Hayes stood silently in Commander Donovan's office at Nellis Air Force Base, her gray-blue eyes fixed on the wall behind his desk while 8 male pilots snickered around her. At 26 years old, she had somehow earned a place in the elite Warthog squadron despite being banned from flying their most rugged aircraft for the past 6 months. The reason for her restriction sat gleaming on the runway outside, the A-10 Warthog, America's most feared close air support fighter. Emergency sirens screamed across Nellis Air Force Base like banshees announcing war. Red alert lights flooded Commander Donovan's office as Major Evelyn Carter burst through the door, her face white with terror. Scramble, scramble. 24 hostile fighters breaching U.S. airspace, she shouted over the deafening alarms. Multiple attack vectors. This is not a drill. The mockery died instantly. 8 pilots jumped to their feet, grabbing helmets and flight gear with practiced urgency. How long do we have? Commander Donovan barked, already reaching for his equipment. For minutes before they reached target zones, Major Carter screamed. Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Phoenix, and San Diego are under direct threat. Intelligence confirms hostile intent. They've already destroyed our forward patrol. The office exploded into chaos as pilots sprinted toward the exit. Commander Donovan was shouting assignments over the blaring sirens, his voice cutting through the chaos like a whip. Matthews and Taylor, Alpha Flight. Chin and Williams, Bravo Flight. Parker and Stevens, Charlie Flight. Each name hit the air like an order carved in stone. The 8 pilots scrambled, grabbing helmets, pulling oxygen masks into place, and racing toward the hangar doors. Through the reinforced windows of the command building, the roar of engines and the frantic dance of ground crews came into view. Mechanics swarmed the flight line, their reflective vests flashing under the floodlights. Fuel lines were pulled away, final weapons checks confirmed, and one by one the sleek shapes of stealth fighters were armed with air-to-air missiles. The F-35 Lightning IIs, the pride of American air dominance, were being prepared for the battle of their lives. Hayes! Commander Donovan barked as they reached the hangar floor, his fingers stabbing toward her like a dagger. You're not with them. You're staying on the ground. You'll man the communications and coordinate from here. Sir, I can, Lieutenant Hayes began quietly. That's an order. Commander Donovan snapped, his voice sharp as the sirens outside. You're not qualified for combat operations in the Lightnings. But even as he barked the command, movement on the runway caught his eye. 7 F-35s were taxiing into position under full combat clearance, and a lone, 8th aircraft was already moving without authorization. It wasn't an F-35. It was the squat, wide-winged bulk of the A-10 Warthog, her Warthog, engines screaming as it rolled steadily toward the active runway. Donovan's voice exploded over the radio. Hayes! Return that aircraft to the hangar immediately. You are not cleared for combat operations in the Lightning, or the Warthog. That's a direct order. Negative, sir, Clara's calm voice came back over the comms, a quiet steadiness that cut deeper than shouting ever could. American cities are under attack. Someone has to hold the line. Before Donovan could respond, the A-10's twin turbofans roared to full throttle. The Warthog barreled down the runway, its rugged frame lifting off with brutal force. The others had stealth. She had armor and firepower. In seconds, Clara's gray camouflaged warplane was clawing into the Nevada sky, climbing toward the threat with a confidence no one else had believed in. God damn it, Donovan cursed, strapping into his own cockpit. She's going to get herself killed. But there was no time for anger. Behind him, the 7 authorized F-35s finally launched in rapid succession, their stealth engines leaving minimal heat signatures as they rose into formation. In the air, the war zone awaited. All flights, this is command. Major Carter's urgent transmission cut through the airwaves. Bogies bearing multiple vectors. They've split into 4 attack groups targeting different cities simultaneously. Donovan's blood ran cold as his radar lit up with contacts. The enemy had divided into perfect coordination, 6 stealth fighters for Las Vegas, 6 for Los Angeles, 6 for Phoenix, and 6 more diving towards San Diego. 24 hostile aircraft. 4 American cities. 7 F-35s, and 1 stubborn Warthog. The mathematics of survival were impossible. Alpha Flight, Matthews, Taylor, you're on Las Vegas, Donovan ordered, his voice hard but steady. Bravo Flight, Chen, Williams, take Los Angeles. Charlie Flight, Parker, Stevens, Phoenix. And San Diego? Captain Matthews called back, his voice tight. 6 bogies headed straight for the naval base. I'll handle San Diego myself, Donovan replied grimly, already knowing what it meant, 6 enemy stealth fighters against a single jet. Through his headset, Commander Marcus Donovan could hear the desperate tactical situation unraveling in real time. Alpha Lead, the Las Vegas group is using advanced stealth, we can barely track them, Captain Matthews reported. Bravo Lead, the Los Angeles group is armed with heavy ground attack missiles. Major Evelyn Carter's voice cut in, tense and clipped. Charlie Lead, Phoenix targets include civilian airports, Lieutenant Parker added, his words almost drowned by static and the roar of engines. And then, cutting through the chaotic chatter, came a voice so quiet it was nearly lost in the storm. I'm engaging the San Diego group. Donovan's blood froze. Hayes, you are not authorized, he began desperately. Sir, Lieutenant Hayes interrupted, her soft voice carrying steel underneath. 6 enemy stealth fighters are about to attack a naval base with 15,000 sailors aboard. Authorization won't stop them. Donovan's eyes flicked to his radar display, and his world seemed to tilt. Aircraft ID code 355106, her A-10 Warthog, was streaking toward the San Diego attack group from an impossible angle, descending fast at maximum speed. Hayes, Donovan said, fear cracking into his voice. You're facing 6 advanced stealth aircraft alone. This is suicide. Her reply was barely audible, but unshakable. Maybe, sir. But those are American sailors. What happened next would rewrite the history of military aviation. Lieutenant Hayes approached the 6 hostile aircraft like death descending from heaven. The enemy formation flew in perfect discipline, their stealth frames almost invisible against the night sky. Ahead, the sprawling silhouette of Naval Base San Diego came into view. The massive carrier USS Carl Vinson sat at anchor, flanked by 4 destroyers, defenseless, vulnerable, and home to more than 15,000 men and women who had no idea that annihilation was racing toward them at Mach 1.5. The 6 enemy fighters were equipped with advanced anti-ship missiles, each capable of sinking a destroyer with a single strike or crippling an aircraft carrier beyond repair. One coordinated launch, and the Pacific Fleet would be gutted before it could even respond. But Clara was no ordinary pilot. She had spent the last 6 months grounded, studying these enemy aircraft obsessively, analyzing their attack patterns, dissecting their capabilities, and most importantly, identifying their weaknesses. And now, strapped into the cockpit of the A-10 Warthog, she intended to exploit every single one of them. What her commanders had intended as punishment had instead become the most intensive combat preparation in recent military history. She positioned her A-10 Warthog low and fast above the San Diego attack group, using the aircraft's rugged frame and tight turning capabilities to remain difficult to track on the enemy's radar systems. The 6 hostile stealth fighters were focused entirely on the naval base, committed to their attack vectors, unaware that a single American warplane was hunting them with predatory precision. Clara's GAU-8 Avenger cannon roared, and the first enemy aircraft, the formation leader, was obliterated before it could react. The explosion shredded the sky, leaving the remaining 5 pilots scrambling, unable to transmit warnings to their command. Her next target was the electronic warfare aircraft coordinating the enemy squadron. With precise targeting, she fired a missile that destroyed it instantly, blinding their sensors and disrupting all tactical coordination. Without their electronic umbrella, the remaining 4 fighters were suddenly exposed, vulnerable to a pilot who had studied their every maneuver. Panic spread through the enemy formation. They flailed in tight turns, desperate climbs, and erratic evasive maneuvers, burning fuel and reducing combat efficiency. But Clara had anticipated this. She knew every tactic, every escape route, every predictable pattern from months of study. Fox 3. Fox 3, she whispered over the comms, releasing precision-guided missiles. One by one, she eliminated the threats. The third aircraft, diving toward the USS Carl Vinson with bombs that could have killed hundreds of sailors, was vaporized mid-dive. The fourth enemy fighter, attempting to regroup and coordinate a counterattack, never had the chance. The fifth plane, using the USS Stockdale as cover, was taken out cleanly, the missile striking true without damaging the destroyer. The sixth and final stealth fighter, realizing its squadron was annihilated, attempted a desperate suicide dive at the carrier. Clara anticipated the maneuver, cutting across its path and firing her cannon. Tracers lit up the sky like deadly fireworks as the enemy aircraft exploded seconds before impact, the fireball reflecting off the carrier's superstructure. In just 90 seconds, 6 enemy stealth fighters were destroyed by a pilot who had been banned from flying the very aircraft she was using to save 15,000 American lives. San Diego Group eliminated, Lieutenant Clara Hayes reported calmly, her voice steady as if she had just completed a routine training exercise. Naval base secure, all ships protected. Moving to assist other flights. The silence that followed lasted exactly 5 seconds. Then every pilot in the squadron erupted into chatter. Did she just say eliminated? 6 enemy stealth fighters in 90 seconds, how is that even possible? She's flying that Warthog like it's part of her body. Clara just saved the entire Pacific Fleet. But even as it rippled through the squadron, Major Carter's voice cut over the radio, tense and commanding. Report. The battle isn't over, multiple vectors still inbound. All flights, stay sharp. While Lieutenant Hayes had been engaging the San Diego Group, the other American flights were struggling against enemies more advanced than intelligence had predicted. Alpha Lead, Las Vegas Group has active jamming, Captain Matthews reported, his voice tight with tension. We can't maintain target lock. Bravo Lead, Los Angeles Group is breaking through our defensive line, Major Carter added urgently. They're targeting Hollywood. Charlie Lead, Phoenix Group just fired on civilian aircraft. Multiple casualties reported, Lieutenant Parker called over the comms. Commander Donovan watched his display with growing horror. His pilots were fighting desperately, but the enemy stealth aircraft were equipped with advanced electronic warfare systems that were disrupting American targeting. The F-35s were taking damage, and the enemy aircraft were breaking through to their targets, leaving the skies over the cities dangerously exposed. American civilians were starting to die, and the tactical situation was deteriorating rapidly. Moving to assist Alpha Flight, came Lieutenant Hayes' quiet voice over the radio. Aircraft 355106, her A-10 Warthog, appeared on radar, streaking toward the Las Vegas battle zone at impossible speed. The 6 enemy stealth fighters attacking the city were using advanced jamming to blind American missiles while targeting the Strip's massive hotels and casinos, packed with tourists and workers. Lieutenant Hayes arrived like a thunderbolt from a clear sky. She had spent 6 months studying the enemy jamming frequencies during her forced grounding and technical analysis. While the other pilots struggled with disrupted targeting systems, her missiles, and the A-10 Warthog's rugged firepower, found their marks with computer-guided precision, tearing through the enemy formation. Her first kill eliminated the jamming aircraft, instantly restoring American targeting capabilities and allowing the other F-35s to engage effectively. Her second missile destroyed the lead attacker just as it was preparing to fire on the Bellagio Hotel, where thousands of tourists were watching the aerial battle from the casino floor. Her third kill came as an enemy fighter dove toward McCarran International Airport, where dozens of civilian aircraft sat helpless on the runways with nowhere to escape. The 4th, 5th, and 6th enemy aircraft were eliminated in rapid succession, each strike executed with the deadly precision. Their advanced stealth technology was useless against a pilot who understood their systems better than their own designers. Each kill was precisely calculated to protect civilian lives, while eliminating the threat with maximum efficiency. Las Vegas group eliminated, Lieutenant Hayes reported with characteristic calm. All civilian targets protected, moving to Los Angeles. The LA engagement was even more desperate. 6 enemy stealth fighters were attacking Hollywood, downtown LA, and LAX airport simultaneously. 2 American A-10s were already damaged and falling back when Clara arrived over the sprawling metropolis. She dove into the urban environment, using the city's complex geography to her advantage while avoiding civilian casualties. Her first missile eliminated an aircraft targeting the Hollywood sign, a symbolic attack that would have been broadcast worldwide as a demonstration of American vulnerability. Her second kill destroyed an enemy fighter approaching the Staples Center during a major sporting event where 50,000 spectators had no idea they were seconds away from death. Her third kill came as she pursued an aircraft through downtown LA, flying between skyscrapers at speeds that should have been impossible in urban terrain. Office workers pressed against windows watched in amazement as Clara drove her A-10 Warthog through the concrete canyons of the financial district, hunting enemy aircraft with relentless precision. Her fourth missile found an enemy fighter using LAX passenger terminals as cover, thinking American pilots wouldn't risk civilian casualties. But Clara's accuracy was so absolute that she eliminated the threat while protecting every innocent life below. Her fifth kill eliminated an aircraft attempting to attack the port of Los Angeles, where an explosion could have disrupted American commerce for months and killed hundreds of dock workers. The sixth and final enemy stealth fighter tried to escape by flying at street level through Beverly Hills, using ground traffic in residential neighborhoods as cover. Clara eliminated it with cannon fire from her A-10 Warthog, so precise that not a single civilian was harmed, despite the aircraft crashing just blocks from expensive homes and crowded shopping areas. Los Angeles group eliminated, she reported with calm precision. All targets secure. Moving into Phoenix. By now, command and every pilot in the squadron were watching their displays in stunned amazement. Clara was single-handedly winning an impossible battle, eliminating enemy stealth aircraft with precision that defied everything they thought they knew about aerial combat. The Phoenix engagement was over in 2 minutes. 6 enemy aircraft targeting the city's airports, government buildings, and residential areas were eliminated with methodical efficiency that bordered on supernatural. Each kill was perfectly calculated to protect civilian lives while neutralizing the threat with absolute finality. Sky Harbor International Airport was saved just as enemy missiles were being armed. The state capitol building was protected seconds before impact. Residential neighborhoods housing hundreds of thousands of families were secured by a pilot who treated every civilian life as sacred. All enemy aircraft eliminated, Clara reported with the same calm professionalism she had maintained throughout the engagement. 24 confirmed kills. All cities protected. All civilian targets secure. Mission accomplished. Complete silence filled the radio frequency. 24 enemy stealth fighters, the most advanced aircraft ever built by hostile forces, had been eliminated by a single pilot who had been banned from flying the very aircraft she used to save 4 major American cities. 0 civilian deaths in an attack designed to kill millions. 0 American military casualties despite being outnumbered more than 3 to 1. Mission accomplished by the unqualified pilot who had been restricted to ground duties. All flights, return to base, Commander Donovan finally managed to say, his voice filled with awe and something approaching reverence. Outstanding work, everyone. Then he added something that would be remembered forever in military aviation history. Ghost, you have the lead for landing approach. As Lieutenant Hayes descended toward Nellis Air Force Base in her A-10 Warthog, something had fundamentally changed in the Lightning Squadron. The A-10 Warthog flying in the lead position was no longer the restricted aircraft they had questioned and dismissed. Under Lieutenant Clara Jensen Hayes, it had become their commander, their inspiration, and living proof that true excellence could not be suppressed by bureaucracy or prejudice. In the post-flight debriefing, Commander Donovan stood at the front of the room, staring at a report that seemed impossible to believe, even though he had witnessed every moment of the engagement. 24 confirmed kills of advanced enemy stealth fighters, he announced to Major Carter in the squadron, Matthews, Taylor, Chen, Williams, Parker, Stevens, and Charlie, his voice carrying a mixture of professional respect and personal amazement. All by Lieutenant Hayes flying solo in her A-10 Warthog against mathematically impossible odds. Commander Donovan looked directly at her, his expression filled with genuine admiration. Las Vegas saved, 2 million civilians protected from what would have been the deadliest terrorist attack in American history. Los Angeles protected, 4 million people who went to sleep safely because of her actions. Phoenix saved, 1.5 million residents who would never know how close they came to disaster. San Diego Naval Base defended, its carrier group and 15,000 sailors owing their lives to the A-10 Warthog of Lieutenant Hayes. The room was absolutely silent. Nobody made jokes. Nobody questioned her qualifications. They had all seen it unfold on their displays, and several owed their lives to her tactical brilliance. Captain Matthews rose slowly, his voice filled with genuine respect and gratitude. "Ma'am, this morning I was questioning why you were even in our squadron. This afternoon, you saved 4 American cities and proved you're the most qualified pilot any of us have ever served with." Lieutenant Chen nodded emphatically, his earlier doubts replaced by complete admiration. 24 stealth fighter kills in under 10 minutes. That wasn't just exceptional flying. That's redefining what was possible in aerial combat. It was the kind of performance that would be studied in military academies for the next century. Lieutenant Williams, who had been one of the most vocal critics of her inclusion in the squadron, spoke with obvious emotion. "Ma'am, my family lives in Phoenix. My kids were at school when those aircraft attacked. They're alive tonight because you did what the rest of us couldn't do." But Clara's response was exactly what it had always been, quiet, respectful, and utterly without need for recognition or praise. "Just doing my job, sir. That's what we're all here for. To protect American lives." The silence that followed was different from any quiet moment they had ever experienced as a squadron. This was respectful silence, the kind reserved for warriors who had proven themselves when everything was on the line. And the stakes could not possibly have been higher. Commander Donovan walked over to the A-10 Warthog, slowly removed his squadron commander patch from his flight suit, and placed it on Clara personally. "Lieutenant Hayes, you're not banned from anything anymore. You're squadron leader. You've earned the right to command the Lightning Squadron. And after what I witnessed today, I can't think of anyone more qualified to lead America's most advanced fighter unit." For the first time anyone could remember, Clara Hayes allowed herself a smile. Not a big smile, not a dramatic expression of triumph or vindication. Just a quiet smile that filled the room with confidence, respect, and hope for the future. "Thank you, sir. I won't let anyone down." But everyone in that room already knew she wouldn't. They had seen what the lightning ghost in her A-10 Warthog could accomplish when American lives hung in the balance and the odds seemed mathematically impossible to overcome. The next day, when 8 F-35 Lightning IIs lifted off for their patrol mission, Clara in her A-10 was leading the formation. The pilot who had once been banned from flying the aircraft had become the most respected member of the Lightning Squadron, and arguably the most dangerous combat aviator in the world. As they climbed toward their patrol altitude, Commander Donovan's voice came over the radio with nothing but respect and admiration. "Ghost, you have the lead." And Lieutenant Clara Jensen Hayes in the A-10 Warthog responded with quiet confidence that everyone could hear and respect. "Roger that, Lightning Squadron. Ghost has the lead, and I'll bring everyone home." The ban was over. The legend had begun. The respect had been earned in the most spectacular way possible. The pilot they had once called unqualified had become the deadliest in the sky, proving that sometimes the most dangerous opponents are the ones you never see coming until they strike with devastating precision and absolute lethality. Weeks later, when military analysts from around the world studied the engagement, they discovered something remarkable that would change aerial combat doctrine forever. Clara had achieved a perfect kill ratio against the most advanced enemy stealth fighters ever built, using tactics and strategies that had never been attempted in combat before. She had done it all while flying an A-10 Warthog she had once been banned from operating, proving her competence in the most spectacular and public way possible. The A-10 Warthog, America's most battle-tested close air support aircraft, had found its perfect pilot in Clara, the quiet warrior who spoke softly but flew like thunder and struck with devastating precision. The legend of the Warthog Ghost was born in 10 minutes of perfect combat flying that saved millions of American lives and established a new standard for what was possible in aerial warfare. And it would never be forgotten by anyone who witnessed it or benefited from it. Sometimes the pilot you underestimate is the one who saves your country. Sometimes the voice that speaks softest carries the most devastating message. And sometimes the aircraft you're banned from flying is the one you were born to command with unparalleled skill and deadly precision. Lieutenant Clara Jensen Hayes had proven all of these truths in the most spectacular aerial engagement in modern military history, earning her place not just as a squadron leader, but as one of the greatest combat pilots who ever lived and a symbol of what determination and skill can accomplish against impossible odds. From that day forward, no one would ever question whether she could command the Warthog. The question would be whether anyone else could handle flying with someone whose abilities had transcended normal human limitations and entered the realm of legend. The Warthog Ghost had arrived, and the world of aerial combat would never be the same. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you can subscribe to see more incredible stories like this.